Hey guys, Brito here. Welcome back to iRacing. Something a little bit different this time. We're going to jump in the street stock at Eldora, ready for week 5. I'm going to do a few test laps on our base setup and then show you guys how I set up the street stock to suit me and my driving style. So hopefully this will help you guys out. Pretty much what I want to do is give you guys some insight into obviously how I set up the car. Also give you guys maybe a good setup to run and hopefully increase participation in the Street Stock C-Class series, because it's been down a little bit, and the races we've been having haven't been the best because of the gap between the really high guys with the high I rating and the low guys with lower I rating, and hasn't been very good clean racing. So that's what I want to do. Get a good setup out there, hopefully increase participation with some guys and get some good racing out there. So I'll just quickly show you guys what I've got at the moment. So moderate usage 50%, that's just what I always really test on. So this is a test session in iRacing. It's not an official session or anything, so I don't know if the weather is right, but I've just got it on realistic weather for iRacing. I've also put it at night time because that's when the races will be taking place for Eldora at night. So set up identical to Eldora, so just get the Eldora base set. Not going to change anything at all, just leave everything 100% baseline, and we'll go out and turn some laps and see what sort of time we can get. So I will bring up, we'll go our all-time best lap. We'll just run that for now. So we might run just around the bottom to start with, and see how we go with times. It's all about throttle control, so you don't want to be, it's a terrible corner, you don't want to be holding it 100% flat the whole time. You still want to be able to throw it in, and obviously half, 3/4 throttle. Make sure you're getting grip, power out, that sort of stuff.
19.5.
So I think my fastest time was like an 18.4, so we're definitely a long way off that at the moment with the baseline set. We'll see if I get a good lap in, we might get into the 18s, hopefully.
19.234.
Oh, still not fast enough in turn 1 then. So I'll run the high line in 1 and 2, which is what I've ran to get my good times, and then low in 3 and 4. I don't know if it suits this setup, but the setup I usually run does suit that. Gives you a good run in 3 and 4.
19.1.
I did have the world record for a few days at Eldora, but it didn't last too long. Hopefully we can get that back in week 5. So we go 18.9, 5 laps. Bring it to a stop. We'll make some changes. So what I'll do is quickly slide my keyboard around. I will save that as Eldora base. Now what I will always change first is, so the fuel level, drop it down to 10 gallons. I'm pretty sure you only need like 7 or 8 gallons for the race. So that'll be the first change I make, 10 gallons. Hopefully that'll level itself out maybe. Ballast forward, drop it all the way back to 0 as well. They're the first 2 changes that I'll always make. So cross weight is too low. So I'm not sure if we need to, there we go, bring the right rear up a little bit. So all it does is adjust right height, so that's good. So actually just save that as Eldora. I'll just put YouTube V1, YouTube version 1. Done. So test. So we'll do another 5 laps and see how we go. So I'm not sure if putting the weight all the way to the rear makes a massive difference or not, but I guess I've always just assumed that more weight in the rear would help you get more grip in the rear end, but I don't think it makes a great deal of difference in the street stock as much as it did for me in the late models and stuff. So we'll just turn a couple of laps down low. See how it feels. Try and stay off that wall. Feels a little bit better. It's not really faster just yet. We've increased, well, dropped out optimal time, so it's a little bit quicker, but not a massive amount. So we'll run high.
19.005.
That's pretty much what you want to run there in 1 and 2 if you can. And throw it in early, low in 3 and 4. So that's the fastest time so far. So it's still a fair way off my fastest time, but I can't remember what the track conditions were or the temperature in that as well. So temperature will make a big difference. There we go, 18.864, fastest lap so far. So if we go back in and have a look at our laps, so we did an 18.9 to an 18.8. So I've gained a tenth just by those couple of changes. So what I will do now, I will change the gear ratio. So it's currently 5. Let's change it to a 463. Put it up a couple. The other thing I will do is I will put our camber up to say 7.1 if we can, and then on the right side and the left side around about the same. So pretty close to it. Cross weight doesn't help, so drop that down. Well, that'll raise it back up a little bit. But I think you really want them similar. So maybe if we can just bump up the ride height a little bit. Put it 750. Will that just make it? It won't. Seems to be going the wrong way. So 0.875. So hopefully that won't affect us too much. Obviously, you can get out there now before the tech inspection fails. So you'll see it'll start to go yellow. It'll continue to drop. So if that goes red, then it's too low. So if we go done, say failed tech, go back into the garage, it's all good. We can get out on track before it fails tech. So you can do that. So go back in and have a look. So I'm not sure what else to really change, because we don't want to be adjusting the rear ride height too much. So we probably adjust the front ride height a little bit. Put that back at 0 and maybe just drop that down a little bit, and we'll see how camber's gone AWOL. So see how that goes. It's probably going to fail again on the cross weight. It's a little bit frustrating. Now it's gone back up, so it seemed to even out a little bit. Anyway, so we'll save that. It's version 2. Done. So we gained a tenth with those changes before. See what these changes have done. Try not to change the ride heights too much if we can avoid it, but steering is much more responsive with the camber changes, of course. Rear end seems to be planted in the ground a lot better. So that's, I assume that would just be the gearing change. We're not revving as hard in the corners, so have a look. That's like nearly a tenth and a half already. Just those few changes. Gearing is a big thing with the street stock, I believe. Like for me, having the right gearing makes a massive difference. So I guess you just need to run a few laps and test it. And if it feels good for you, then run with it. If not, try something different. It's a little bit higher there in 1 and 2, but so the steering might be a little bit too responsive with the cambers up so high.
18.711.
I think, yeah, it might be a little bit too far. So an 18.6 is optimal now, so that's not far off where I would be with my previous setup. So as far as that goes, obviously our gear ratio feels fairly good there. Our camber, I think, is probably a little bit too high, so let's drop them both back down to around about 6. Now that side's a bit too high, so wrong way. I can't remember what we were at before we started fiddling with things, so just save that as version 3 quickly and go back now to our version 1. It was 2938, so I think if we put it there, it's going to be, yeah, way too far. Get there, 2.5. There we go, 2.5. As far as ballast left goes, I'm not really sure. I haven't really changed that too much. I'm not sure if it'll help us more if it's more to the right or more to the left, but that's just where it is standard. I haven't really fiddled with that too much. As far as tyre pressures go, I think I usually run like a 10-10 and a 15-15, just even them out. Which that's failed. Hopefully it'll... No, I won't. Go back up above. It will if you put it there, 2375. Anyway, so we'll have a quick look at that. Please save that again. You can also, so you can check, so baseline, version 1, version 2, and then we'll have version 3. So you can, that's why I always name them V1, V2, V3, so you know which section of laps were your quickest. The car feels good. It doesn't feel too much steering like it did before. Just a little bit too much oversteer and exit.
18.83.
I know it's probably just because of the slicker part that we're at, but really need to sort of stay low and stay below it. Like that's pretty much the perfect line that you need in 3 and 4. So it's going to run higher now, 1 and 2. So if you can get that right, that's where you can gain a lot of time. That's our fastest lap now, 6.97. This is going to be another good lap. So it's not just set up to, it's about stringing a lap together and getting it right. An 18.569 is a good time. And the cars, I think the cars are a little bit more delicate than what they were. you just bump a wall like that and it feels like you get a bit of steering damage. So we'll go in and make another couple of changes now and see what else we can do to get a little bit more speed out of it. But as I said, we've gained a lot of time now. Just with those a few minor changes, like nothing spectacular. If we go back and look at what our fastest time was, so pretty much 19 seconds now to an 18.5. So I've gained nearly half a second just by a few minor changes. So what I'll do now is I'll drop the stagger down 1, because there's a lot of oversteer on exit. Gear ratio I will drop down to say 450 just to see how it goes. Toe in's good, steering offset, all that stuff's fairly good. Now the only thing I can sort of suggest to you guys is look at these shock compressions. So if you read it down the bottom, so you're pretty much saying more front bump stiffness is tighter under braking and turn in, but more rear bump stiffness is tighter under acceleration. So you want them higher, I reckon, so you're not as tight on exit. Are you tighter on exit? Shock compression on the front we'll put down to 1, because if we're a little bit loose on entry, that's fine. We'll just see how it goes. So shock rebounds, more front rebound stiffness is tighter under acceleration. So you want 5 and 5, and we'll go 1 and 1 on the rears as well. Now the leaf spring rate, I haven't really fiddled with this too much, to be honest. So it's how stiff the spring is to get the same ride heights after a spring change. The leaf block must be adjusted, which is lowering block. Stiffer springs control the chassis attitude better, which is good for aerodynamics and camber control. But mechanical grip is often better with softer springs. So mechanical grip, you would have softer springs. So the front end's really high spring rate, but the right rear is a little bit lower. So I'm not sure if we bump that up a little bit, if it'd be better or worse. But what we'll do now is we'll save it as version 4. So we know it'll be obviously 1, 2, 3, 4, our 5th set of laps. We'll go in and test it out and see how we go. So 15.6 is only a 10th. I think it is a 10th pretty much off my fastest ever time. I know there's other guys out there that are quicker. So we're just going to run the high line straight away because we know that that's where the speed actually is. Get turn 1 and 2 right, we might get a faster time, but see, 550 gearing might be a little bit too long. But it's not too bad coming out of the corner, so I do know other guys here were running a 444, but I'm not sure if that's too long or too high a gear or not.
18.67.
So the times aren't too bad, still 18.6s, so they're not as good as they can be. Right down an inside wall, we'll try not to hit it.
18.791.
Still seems a little bit too loose in the rear end for my liking, so we can drop the stagger down a little bit more, but that obviously was close to being faster, so 569 or 578, but not as close, I don't think. So what we'll do is we'll go back to a 463. Let's drop the stagger down now to a 2, and we'll leave all these other, like these compression rates and stuff like that for now. So put it down as V5, of course. We'll head out and check this out as well. Obviously, the more laps we do, the track might get a little bit slower. but we're not doing a great amount of laps to have it affect the track too much, you wouldn't think. If there was 20 or 30 cars out here practicing at once, it would affect the track, but so 463 gearing is good, I think. You can see coming off the corner we're still gaining time. Still going through in the green. Let's get the right line in 1 and 2. Just try and stay either above or below that slick. That's a bad corner there in 3 and 4, so it's not going to give us a decent time.
18.783.
So that's good in 1 and 2 on exit. Try and get down low and stay below the slick. Power out. Just avoid that wall. That's nearly the perfect line.
18.645.
So 18.6 is good. Just not quite as quick as we were before without changing those shocks around too much. But definitely not as quick.
18.63.
So I'm going to run high in 3 and 4 this time. Try and get some speed into 1 and 2. It's probably too high.
18.7.
So try and get a really fast lap out of it. But slid up too high in 1 and 2. Obviously that's what you do with your quali lap. You go high in 3 and 4 to get a good run into 1 and 2. 18.559, so we'll have to go back and see where we got that 5.4. Actually, it was this set, so there you go, 5.4. So a little bit quicker than the 5.69, so not by much. So that seems to work the 2 stagger and the 463 gearing. But now let's just put these rebounds up to 5 and 5, so we're going to be tight on entry and exit, hopefully. Hopefully that's what it'll do to us, and we'll see how we go with that. Oh, that wasn't good at all. Didn't throw it in hard enough. Quickly reset and try that again, shall we? Might be really tight now, which isn't a bad thing. Oh yeah, that is terrible. Whatever I did then is shocking. Let's reset now and try it once more, and if it does that again, it sort of just, as it's turned in, it's sort of just kicking it back to the right. Hopefully you guys can sort of see it. I know I can see it and feel it happen at the same time. Yeah, just there, just pushes me straight into the wall mid-corner, so not a good change. So we'll reset now. We'll go back to YouTube 5 and go back through. So we did a 540, 578, 569. So that would be YouTube 3. So if I go back to YouTube 3, all I want to do now is move the stagger, 463 gearing, and that's it. And we'll see what happens with that, whether that makes a difference or not. Just dropping the stagger down and leaving like all their suspension or shock builds and stuff as they are standard for this track. Definitely feels quicker, but I don't think it feels quite as stable for me. But that does work well, actually.
18.535.
They weren't much quicker, but Of course, if you wanted to do it properly during the week, you'd come in and do a time trial. And so that way you can get your average time of your best 10 laps and work out, yes, this set might be quick on 1 lap, but is it quick over 10, 20 laps? That's what you want to work out, I suppose. If you really want to be competitive for a race. See that, this doesn't feel as good for me with that shock settings the way they are. So I'll quickly go back in. So I think, so YouTube 5 is what I would recommend for you guys. So 10, 10, 15, 15, 2 and 2. So if you were too tight on entry, you can move that down or move it up depending on what you want. I think it's pretty good 2 and 2, pretty even. Obviously ballast forward we've moved all the way back to 0, so it's moved it to the back. If you look at say 777, 778, if you move that to the front, say just 10 is usually standard, so it's still exactly the same except there's more weight in the front, so the rear weights don't really change too much. So if you feel like you need a little more steering response, you can either adjust your camber or move your ballast forward a little bit. Then as I say, camber's -6 on this side, +6 on this side. I had to adjust our spring perch a little bit in the left front to get it to pass. And then 463 gearing, 10 gallons of fuel, we might be able to take a little bit less, but that's our current setup. So that lap gave us a 18.535. So if you can do that during the race, you should be fairly competitive. So what I'll do now is go into my Eldora and have a look. What was my last setup? Version 4. So that's 10, 10, 15, 15, 2 and 2. This is what I used in my last race, I believe. Ballast forward 0, as I said. 6 and 782. So that's a little bit different to that. Build 1, 5, 1, 5, 5, 1, 5, 1. 10 gallons of fuel and 444. So I did actually change to 444. Let's have a look at V3. That should be exactly the same, except 463 gearing. Yeah, that's right. Okay, so if I do V3, which is what the last race I did was when somebody else told me they were running 444, so I decided to change. So I'll take the setup that I used week 1, where I think this is the world record setup that I had at the time. You can see my optimal here, 18.447. Now that is my fastest ever optimal. And I think it beat my world record time that I had. I don't think it'll beat the current world record. I think they might be into the 3s or even the 2s. Or even lower, I don't know. I haven't really checked to be honest, but we'll see how this setup goes. So this is my current setup, well, my setup from Eldora last season. Not last season, week 1 I should say. Too low there, into the wall, of course. Oh, and smash it there. Quickly reset that on it. Go around with any damage because that's not going to show us how fast the car actually can be. So if we can get down to a 447 like Optimal says, that would be a pretty good bloody time. So you can actually take that line too, go in high and cut down low if you wanted to. In 1 and 2 that does actually give you a little bit of speed, but try and stay high, hold it flat, which is what I was doing in the race. Too narrow there, but anyway, you sort of get the picture. So that was my setup from week 1. So hopefully you guys have learnt a little bit about it. Obviously, as I said, we go back to our V5, which is what our fastest one was. Current setup here. So pause the video if you want to copy it. Pause the video here if you want to copy it, so you can see what you need to do. But there's still a lot of other things you can change, like these spring rates. I don't really know what they do. I'd have to actually give it a good couple of clicks and go out and test it and see if it tightens or loosens or more speed, less speed, that sort of stuff. But The only thing I can really recommend is, yes, you might be a tenth or 2/10 quicker with a looser set, but are you going to be able to make 40 laps without getting sideways and getting hit by somebody else because you haven't kept your line, or losing control and hitting somebody else because you haven't kept your line or whatever? You're better off being comfortable over 40 laps than being loose and fast. So at least you're going to make those 40 laps. So that's that set there, guys. Now, I'm putting this video out there to help you guys get into the series if you haven't already, and those guys are already in the series that are watching the video, hopefully this helps you guys too. But please, if you're watching and this helps, leave a comment and let me know if you've got any ideas how we can make the set faster, or maybe you jump in and you play around a little bit and go, well, I changed the shot compression here to a 3.3, a 3.3, and then left them at 1.5, 1.5, and I was quicker, more comfortable, blah 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 blah. Leave that in the comment section. If you're happy with the rear end ratio at this, or you prefer the 444 or the 450 and it's faster, then put it in the comment section. Let's help each other get a good setup out there so people can be comfortable with it and be quick, and let's have some competitive racing. That's what the aim is for this video, really. And hopefully, if we get a good response from this video, I will try and do a video for week 6, which I believe is USA. It is, I think. I'm pretty sure it's USA National Speedway, which will do a similar thing like this, and hopefully it can help you guys out. But as I said, let's get stuck in. Let's help each other out. Leave a comment and let me know if you enjoyed the video, if the setup helped you, if you've got ideas to help other people, to help me, whatever. Leave it in the comment section. Please also like the video if it's actually helped you as well, so I know you guys are watching it, you guys are getting helped by it. If you haven't subscribed already, please do so to continue to get some more, hopefully some more setup videos to help you guys out, and also to have a look at my racing, have a look at my other stuff, my motorsport manager stuff, and also I've got some farm simulator stuff coming if that's your cup of tea. If not, don't watch it, I don't mind. And hopefully Formula 1 2017 when it comes out in August, I want to do a series of that as well. So anyway, guys, it's been Brito's Gaming. Thanks for watching, and hopefully we'll see you again soon.